Hi there, I'm Mel Stromer, developer of Satisfactory Factories. Today I'm going to show you how the tool works on a very basic level, why you would want to use it, and its purpose and its place in the whole tool ecosystem in amongst Satisfactory Factories, for example, and Satisfactory Logistics and Calculator and various other tools, and how this is distinct from all of them. So this video might be a little long. I'm going to timestamp it with various chapters, if you want to put it that way, on YouTube. If you want to follow along at particular places that you feel that would be most useful to you, then please do check the chapters below. Otherwise, let's crack on. So, Satisfactory Factories is a tool to manage a production chain. So, what my tool does is that it allows you to build either layers or sections of a mega factory, or in my case, my personal style is modular factories, and be able to sort of keep tabs on all of them as your production chain scales. So, for example, if you create 10 computers and then suddenly you require 20 computers, all the dependencies and all the resources needed to make those computers obviously increase, and it trickles down the chain. So my tool's designed to sort of help highlight issues and allow you to address them in game. So you can read this if you want to, but I'm just going to skim through this. Effectively, the way it works is we create factories, you create products in factories. There may also be internal products to ingredients used to create other products within the same factory if you so chose. And there's a concept of importing things and exporting things. The tool does a quite good job at telling you the amount of parts that you need to satisfy the factory's requirements, which is in the satisfaction panel, and this will all become obvious once we go through. So I like to start end first, so let's do that first. So computers is our end product, computer. Notice how the icon changes and stuff like that, so you know you got the right one. Many tools don't allow you to add recipes in, or they do in Satisfactory Tools' case. It allows you to create where obviously you've got the recipes and all that to select from. This is done on a per factory level. So I don't particularly mind what recipes you have or anything like that. The tool does particularly care. It's done on a per product level. You can actually even create computers on a different recipe if you so chose. Not that you would do, but that is totally possible if you so chose to do it. So let's do 10 computers. Now, the tool's being quite helpful in telling you what resources you need. So you need 40 circuit boards, etc., for manufacturers, and it takes that many megawatts to power it all. It does not factor in overclocking yet. That would be nice, obviously. There's a lot of extra math associated with overclocking, and this is just an alpha, so I've decided to omit it for now. So it gives you a summary of everything down here. I'll go in imports in a minute, but it gives you a summary of everything. If we added another one, for example, let's show circuit boards actually as an internal product. No, it's already shown as internal. So if we wanted to sort of build the circuit boards internally, we can also do that. And notice now how the satisfaction for that has now resolved. There's buttons here to quickly add a product. If you wanted to build the cable on site, for example, you can press that, then that, and it increases the quantity, and then you just select the recipe and stuff like that. I'm not going to do that. And that's basically it for the first factory. Notice how this is red, and it's red up here as well in this list, because there's certain satisfaction has not been met. So we're going to match that satisfaction now. So let's create what I call a copper basics recipe, factory, which is usually wire, whack about, I don't know, 1,200 that in there, cable, and let's get 720 for example. Notice again how wire is used internally, and also notice how it's looking after us here that we're just not producing enough wire, so we're going to fix that, and that's now resolved, and that's that. So we can now link the two together. Also, as well, you can reorder them, just so you know, which I like to have the sort of basics at the top and the ends at the bottom. But now that we've got cable available, like this, so you can see in the exports, we can now export 720 cable. We can now got this button available where we can import that into this factory, into the computers. So we want 80 cable, So it filters and shows it by what's required and what's available, but the fact that other factories have availability exports to export. So copper basics, cable, you can press this magical button here, which satisfies it instantly. Great, so that's cable dealt with. Because we've done that now, we've created a link between these two. So what we've got at the export section now is cable that is requested by the factory computers. And on the right here, we've got a calculator that I've built that just does some math for you effectively. So as the demand goes up or down, these numbers also update. So if you wanted to belt it, say for example it's just a mega factory, you can just belt the output and it will give you would need a Mark II minimum to satisfy that. Or if you're using trains to do this, how this works, and it's best off if I show the help tool for this. So if you press this button, it shows all various text that helps you through the thing, but I just like to keep it tidy, so I've collapsed it. But what this does is it allows you to go from and calculate round trip time. So if you get a stopwatch and go from when the train sets off at the origin station, drops its stuff off, and then comes back, the time, the free choose, I like to call, I need to change this text slightly, but the free choose, once you get 3 choose, that is the amount of time. That's the round trip time. What I'm going to do now is quickly whiz through the rest. So we're going to have a plastic factory, or I like to call oil processing. Let's just hide the info text and make it clearer, and then we do plastic. And what we can do here is kind of cheat, so we could add the import straight away in there, satisfy it. And now, because we have a factory that is requesting more than we're able to actually produce, and this is totaled by not just individual factory, but all factories requesting it, we can press this lovely button to fix the production and correct your plan. So this will effectively allow you to scale up. And the process you would do in game is that you would see that warning, press that button and realize, oh, okay, I need like 8 more refineries to do this. Bang them in. There you go. You got your production ready to go. Okay, so that's oil processing. Let's look at copper sheets. So that goes in copper basics. Let's add copper sheet. Again, we can cheat by adding import, copper basics, copper sheet, satisfy it, and press that button, bomp, and it's fixed. Notice now that obviously copper basics needs ingots. So let's create very at the top, a copper ingot factory. Now, there's a difference between this and other factories, and I'll go over that in a second. So copper ingots are anything that requires a raw resource. I felt it was a bit stupid for you to have to create a mining quote-unquote factory to supply the ingots or wherever they're smelted. It didn't make much sense. So there's an assumption made here that anything that requires raw resources, as in like you use a miner or an oil extractor or whatever to extract the thing from the world, it's assumed that you're going to supply it sufficiently. So it's going to tell you how much you need, but otherwise it's up to you how you supply it. We're not going to... I didn't feel it was proper to force you to create an extra layer for no good reason. It was always just going to be copper or... and that's it. It was silly. So you notice down here, for example, now we've got a bit more of a number. So it's 1600. For example, if that took, I don't know, a full 500 seconds to do a round trip, you would need 4.17 Frieght Cars. This is also making an assumption as well that you're supplying the freight platforms properly. If there's imbalance or if there's issues with supplying your platforms, obviously that this calculation is completely nullified, but hey ho. And that's basically it. So we've got everything we need now to create computers. We've got independent links now, dependencies in between them all. So I'm going to show you the magic of this tool. I've now increased that. Suddenly, we now need more cable, more plastic, and more circuit boards. So we need to fix the production of that. Again, because we're scaling up. Fixed. Notice now how these two factories are now no longer satisfactory. And and they're underproducing the copper sheets. So this would be a case of I would go in game, build this factory, and then once that's done, then go to this and realize, okay, so my copper sheets are too low. I need to double it. So I press fix production, and there we go. Now that obviously I've done that, it's like a ripple effect. And it's doing this on purpose to make you realize, oh, my design wasn't sufficient. I now need to go and fix the design, or what you should be doing is scaling it up so it protects against future demands. But this is a way to sort of safeguard the now and making sure that your as long as this is accurate to your design and to your actual factories, it will tell you where the bottlenecks are. So just some extra miscellaneous features. You can press this button here called Hide All, which compacts them down into the factories down into much smaller things, so you can just have at a glance look at everything. You can expand them and any single one of them at any point. To help navigation, there's also on the imports, there's ability to open up the factory that is importing. You can do some adjustments if you want to. You can reorder the products up and down. I'm also going to add that for imports, so just not have time to do that. I believe I made this so that the ordering of this matches the products, just to keep it simple. There's obviously the show button, show info button I've had before. Just gives you a bit more contextual detail what each section does. I expect most people are going to hide that. There's a clear button to remove everything, and there's also the ability to log in and save your state, your data here. So what happens in the background is I've got just a very simple database that just takes the data and just stores it in a database. And once you log in, you can download that, you can sync it to another device. I've not got quite where you've got two devices on the same time doing separate things. That is quite tricky to manage. I've not got that yet, but if you do one change on one device and then then download it or log in on the other, you can also press force download. So if you do it on like, I don't know, your Steam Deck or something, and then you want to go on your big computer, you just press force download and it'll download it as long as you're logged in. Other things as well. So we have a work in progress graph. So this visually shows you your map of your individual factories. It's a bit of work in progress. There's stuff that's overlapping when it shouldn't do, various things that I'm not right happy with, but it's good enough for now. You can sort of relay it however you wish, but you can sort of see the flow of products. So there's a copper ingot going into there, it goes directly into the import, and you can see where the products are then going. So like the cable, for example, you can actually click them and sort of do things sort of with them. You can click them, and I kind of want to make it a different color when you click them, but it's very basic at the minute. You can kind of see, I don't know if it's showing up in the video, but this has got a bit darker, so you can kind of see where it's going. I might make it like show up green or something, so it's dead obvious where it is. And yeah, that just very basically just visualizes the flow of things. We also have the recipe thing. It's just a bog standard recipes searcher. It shows the inputs and products and stuff, and just in case you forget and you can't be bothered to look it up in the game or the wiki or whatever, I've just put it in there as well. And that is basically the tool. So I will be adding at some point a feedback thing if you want to supply some feedback. Otherwise, at the minute, it's just in the github.com/Maelstrom Satisfactory Factories. You can add into the issues there if you want to, a suggestion or whatever. I could get a Discord server going, but it's just very early days of the project. And yeah, that's it. If you've got any suggestions, please leave a comment on the GitHub or on the YouTube video. And yeah, I hope you enjoy.